$30,000. But the spooky thing is, though, there's been a lot of movies where this didn't go well. It's true.
Look at that. Look at this. Tell me that thing don't look like War Machine.
Specifically Fallen Angels, but continue. And this was it. But we're going to slow it way the heck down.
It looks like a goblin is attached to it. I thought her dogs react.
The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that...
So, little known fact, 11 from Stranger Things was based solely off one person. Her name is Nina. She's a badass.
Because the sun detoxifies you by giving you electromagnetic energy. They tell you about the magnetic field with magnets, but they don't tell you about the magnetic field around your body. Disease shows up in this field before it manifests physically in your body. The sun is electric, the earth is magnetic, and you are electromagnetic. This is why the ancients had grounding shoes to ground to the magnetic earth. Canes were not just for fashion, they were used for conducting.
It lines up with Polaris, the North Pole Star. Oh, yeah. If you look at nighttime view on the other side, that hole and stuff, and the North Pole Star right in the middle.
This ground you're standing on. I stand up right here. This ground that you're standing on right now. You walk on this same You better lock in that buckle up, bucko, because you're in for another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. You have to be careful with these disturbing and scary videos because they might change your reality and keep you up on all the different weird mind-spinning dreams and weird theories. Keep your head on a straight swivel. Without further ado, let's dive into this video. Now remember, this video is for entertainment purposes only. It is up to us to distinguish fact from fiction and do our own research on everything. Nothing on this video is factual.
So, little known fact, 11 from Stranger Things was based solely off one person. Her name is Nina. She's a badass. I'll show a video that American researchers smuggled out of Russia of her just moving stuff with her mind. It's pretty unreal. Now, Nina joined the army at 14 and was driving tanks around for Russia, but later in her life figured out she could move stuff with her mind. She claims she got it from her mom. Now, this sent America for a trip and was the birthplace of one of my favorite CIA documents, Research in Human Paranormal Capabilities. Now, you would think with something like this, the CIA is going to look at it and go, that's absolutely crazy. They found it remarkably accurate. Now, these abilities some people seem to have are not just confined to moving things with your mind. Some people can see things when they're not there. Now, where it gets crazy is the CIA found out that Russia had very accurate plans and descriptions of their nuclear sites, military bases, CIA black sites, all kinds of crazy things. And when they looked into how the Soviets got this info, they got it from psychics. And that was the birthplace of remote viewing, seeing things when you're not there. America started researching it heavily. They even brought in just normal psychologists to try to get some hold on what was going on. What did the psychologists say? It's remarkably accurate. It's an evidence of a telepathical mental process that's not yet understood. And this lady Nina, the 11 from Stranger Things, they started testing her, not just with their eyes. They didn't just watch her move stuff. They hooked her up to machines, did all kinds of extensive things. And they found out that when she did these demonstrations of her abilities, everything in her body process sped up like crazy. Her heartbeat, brain activity, electromagnetic fields around her started pulsating in rhythm. I mean, her pulse went up to 240 beats per minute when she did this. The video covers all of it. I'll show you in just a second. But as America caught on to this, they thought there was really something to it. They had their own Americans doing this kind of thing too. And they started scouring historical records to see if this is a new thing with humans, or some of them have it, or if it's an innate ability that everybody has. And again, this is relevant because it's in the CIA file. They took this with weight, but in scouring history, they found a king that thought oracles were just full of it, just total BS. So he found 7 oracles and said, I want you guys to tell me exactly what I'm doing on this date and time. And then he left. Upon doing his weird task and returning, 6 of the 7 oracles were wrong, but one of them was right. And it's crazy because this is not something to guess. The oracle told him exactly what he did. He cut up a tortoise and a lamb into pieces, put them in a brazen cauldron, and boiled them with a brass lid on top. That is exactly what the man was doing. And this was in 550 BC. That's the first case of remote viewing that's ever been seen. And of course, he used it to fight the Persians. Now, here's where the waters are going to get a bit muddy. This info is straight from the Soviets, and this was intercepted by the CIA. So some scientists put Nina, or 11, in a room, a controlled environment, and had her stop and start a frog's heart multiple times, just with her mind, and she was like 10 feet away. Now, yeah, if you take a frog's heart out of its body and suspend it in liquid, of course it's going to stop without, an electrical impulse. But she stopped it and then started it again, and demonstrated this multiple times. It also claims she lost 3 pounds doing this. Well, I know you came here to watch the video of her doing her stuff, so here you go.
Or PK. Nina Kalagina is a Russian housewife who has this ability. These films of her demonstrating PK were made in a Russian hotel room and smuggled out of the country by American researchers. She gets the object moving with gestures of her hands or by fixating the object with nothing more than her eyes. Kalagina has been studied intensively for more than 10 years by Professor Sergeyev of Leningrad University, who has reported on her work. These films and demonstrations are subjects of unending controversy. Is she a sensitive or a charlatan? According to those present at these demonstrations, it sometimes takes Mrs. Kalagina 2 to 4 hours to rev up her supernormal powers. Her pulse races to 250 beats a minute. She loses up to 3 pounds after a demonstration of psychokinesis.
So, little note.
Psychokinesis? Are you kidding me? I think it was real. It took her 2 hours to, lock in 250 beats per minute. Man, you gotta see me looking at my watch. I'm trying to heart rate is elevated. That's crazy.
The onion starts to go from smooth to starting to break up here. I like how that earth is beating the glacier. See that interesting shape? Oh wow, yeah. The onion starts to go from smooth to starting to break up here. Like where are we right now? What planet is this? Just think of Pulp Fiction. I like how that earth is beating the glacier. See that interesting shape? Oh wow, yeah. He's just mesmerized. I've never seen terrain like this. It's so insane, isn't it? How this is right at the edge of it. It's water, like both ice, like cold. I don't even know what like nothing you've ever seen. Nothing like that blows away anything we've seen so far. It's just like blown away looking up at the walls and the peaks next to us. Oh man, the ice below us. That's like the Grand Canyon of ice. Yep. Then the ice starts to go from smooth to.
I don't even know where to begin. A couple videos of actual movies here in baseball. I don't even know where to begin.
I think by this point, a lot of us realize that yes, satellites are above our head, and yes, they are being held up by giant helium-filled balloons. NASA even admits this. But I also think there's something else going on up there, and I want to get into it in this video. I want to first give credit where credit is due. My good friend 7 Club in this video started me thinking about this video that I'm going to show you right now. So go give him a follow and especially watch that pinned video. You see, he got me thinking about liquid oxygen. And there's a funny thing about liquid oxygen. It's magnetic.
This is a powerful magnet. If we pour liquid nitrogen between its poles, nothing happens. However, when we pour liquid oxygen between the poles, it is visibly attracted. This indicates that oxygen is magnetic and belongs to the category of paramagnetic substances. If we freeze oxygen into a solid state, it will also be attracted to the magnet like iron.
So with that in mind, let's pretend, just for a minute, that what we're seeing here isn't the Earth rotating, but actually a enclosed system that is rotating around us. And again, let's pretend, just for fun, that the higher you go, the colder things get. And let's pretend that that enclosure above us is so high up that it's cold enough that the oxygen turns either to ice or to liquid. Now let's also pretend, just for a second, that all these SpaceX and NASA rockets that we see supposedly launching satellites into space aren't launching them into space, but maybe just inserting them into that liquid oxygen very high up next to that closed container we're all in. And if liquid oxygen is somehow magnetic, well, we would just need to find some sort of substance or material that would soften the blow and then attract.
Strong neodymium magnet, and this is the thick copper plate. Normally copper is not really very magnetic. It's not really wanting to stick to it, but drop the magnet onto the copper and watch this. I could watch that all day. This is explained by Lenz's law. In the copper, the electrons swirl, and they create their own magnetic field. And the magnetic field of the electrons in the copper opposes the magnetic field that's trying to change them. So the two magnetic fields slow down the magnet.
And then imagine, if you will, that they created a much simpler, easier, cheaper way to shoot things up into the structure that is covering our heads. Again, hypothetical structure. I don't really believe there's a firmament above us. But I guess even if they did manage to shoot these things up into the imaginary dome above our head that just happens to have liquid oxygen right below its surface, they would just sit there. It's not like they would be able to move them around our heads. I mean, for that to happen, there would have to be some sort of, I don't know, like propulsion device or something. But again, this was just all for shits and gigs. I'm a satire account, and this was for entertainment. Because I know there are thousands upon thousands and thousands of satellites in orbit around the circular, spinning globe Earth. Entertainment only.
This would be a great method for people to use beyond
What's the deal?
Oh, it's a great method of travel. Especially if they're locked in there.
I'll be better if I win this dub.
I'm just saying, that could be like a railway to different worlds. This thing.
I think by this point, a lot of us realize.
What did you invent?
I invented the EHG, or Energy Horizon Gatherer, and it's an energy initiative to collect cosmic energy.
And how would you explain cosmic energy to someone who's never heard of it before?
Well, simply, cosmic energy is the expansion of space that is reverberated out. So space expands, and as it does, it releases cosmic radiation. When this cosmic radiation hits our atmosphere, it transfers into the ionosphere and sends billions of particles of charged ions, raining down on us in quantities, billions. And so I track them in and pick them up and collect their charge.
Awesome, and use that to make energy that we can use. So where do you see this invention going, and has it been difficult to develop along the way?
Well, first of all, it has, yes. There's a lot of trial and error. It's the scientific process, so there's always failure involved. As far as it goes, though, hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have 2 million homes powered on this energy device in India, and soon after that, whoever else might need it.
That's awesome. And what advice would you give to young inventors out there who might want to give it a go?
Well, first of all, there's no lack of studying. You always need to make sure that you know your facts and your materials as well. And of course, just study nature and the world around you, because there's no other substitute for that either. Just experiment.
Awesome. Stay curious. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Scope.
All right. Happy to be here.
Hello, bro. Did you know that this thing, there's this hole right here? So it lines up with Polaris, the North Pole Star, all year. If you look at nighttime view on the other side, that hole goes up, and the North Pole Star right in the middle, and it happens year round. This is actually proof that the Earth is stationary Earth. And that's why this costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to build, right? It's what they want for the New World Order, of course. But the point is, they know what the Earth is, right? This thing wouldn't work if the Earth was spinning 1,000 miles an hour, shooting 66,000 miles per hour around the sun. It literally wouldn't work. It gets even worse, though, guys. On the side here, it's actually a calendar. So if you see this right here, this is a calendar. So if you look through this, you can track the sun every day throughout the year. There's a certain year where it will be right in the middle on the solstice.
It's a calendar. Okay? They built a time capsule over here. Yep. And it tells you all about the astronomical abilities of it, right? This is some crazy stuff. So, channel through stone indicates celestial pole. That's the little hole that you see the North Star through every day for thousands of years. Horizontal slot indicates annual travel of sun, which is that right there, which is how you get the solstice. Sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year. There's a slit in the top. When it's exactly 12 o'clock, the sun will be right in the middle of it. This is because the sky does the same thing and resets every year. But this will always be accurate. That's why I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building it. Or it would be a waste of money, right? It would only be right 1 year or something.
So there you go. The Georgia Guidestones, not only was they basically the New World Order written in stone, it was also a complete astronomical clock. Obviously, there's been a massive rise in people questioning the nature of reality and where they live and how they got here. So they've had to cover the tracks. Obviously, people are exposing Agenda 21 of the United Nations, and obviously what people are calling the New World Order, which is basically exactly what was written on them stones.
The sky is literally purple, the energy. Art can create some of the effects that the sun creates that are similar to the aurora borealis. Art can paint designs in the sky, if you will. You know, you can take the beam and move it in any pattern that the scientist who's doing an experiment might want to do. Look at that beam. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Facility. It's not the only one like it in the world. HARP has some capabilities that we feel are better than some of the others. You can change the frequencies. You can shift the beam so that you can move it from one part of the ionosphere to another, and it has quite a bit more power than some of the other facilities throughout the world that are doing the same kinds of research.
Because it can be aimed. Picture holding your microwave oven in your hands with the door open. Then you can move it around and send those microwaves different directions. Control of where the power was, I felt that was the best type of antenna to use. And that is the kind that HARP has built. So.
They tell you that the sun hurts you, but they don't tell you that the old hospitals used to have sun debt, because the sun detoxifies you by giving you electromagnetic energy. They tell you about the magnetic fields of magnets, but they don't tell you about the magnetic field around your body. Disease shows up in this field before it manifests physically in your body. The sun is electric, the earth is magnetic, and you are electromagnetic. This is why the ancients had grounding shoes to ground to the magnetic earth. Canes were not just for fashion, they were used for conductors of electromagnetic energy to ground the body to the earth. Now we wear sunglasses to block the sun's healing rays to entering our nervous system. We have lost true connection with our true nature, been turned into electrical batteries running through a matrix circuit board. Next stage of the human awakening begins October 8th. This is a revolution of human consciousness. If you don't agree with this video, you are heavily programmed. They tell you that the sun hurts you, but they don't tell you that the old hospitals used to have sun debt.
Domino's new s'mores lava cakes are only $6.99 when I mix and match. Which means they're going in my cart, which also means I can stop pretending I like camping when I really just like melty marshmallows. Thanks. Window.
Recharge. The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that Bobby Kennedy knows about, and I happen to know about because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at two-lane neurology and two-lane neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA started a program there where they would do all these crazy things to monkeys. The CIA wanted to see how they could control things utilizing different things like drugs and things like that. Where the neurosurgeons got involved, which is my clade, we would drill the tops of the heads off, put wires into the thalamus, put electricity in there, and kind of see what kind of behavioral changes we could have. One of the guys that was in that program was a guy named Professor Delgado. He got the idea to take it in a bigger animal. When he saw that we could control the behavior with the wired device, he said, what if we do it wirelessly? So he checked it in monkeys and checked it in bulls, and it turned out you can do it wirelessly with RFID chips and semiconductors. And the CIA took it to the next level. They said, well, since this is electromagnetic radiation and they can get it wirelessly, what if we did it through light, through screens? It turns out you can. And that's the reason why all your computer screens have the frequencies they have. So why is this all important?
We should ad lib. We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. This, too, might account for the sensation people get of having lived past lives.
There's a law in physics that basically says that when you have energy that is vibrating at a particular frequency, within 17 seconds, other energy like that will be attracted to it. So if I'm having a positive thought or a negative thought, then what happens is that energy is attracted to it. I have other thoughts that are like that thought. So if you do that 17 seconds, for 68 seconds, then momentum begins to occur. Let's say that I'm normally, all of our emotions have a frequency to them. So if I'm in despair or anger or worry, all of those are lower, denser frequencies. You get into things like contentment, happiness, joy, love. Those are higher, faster frequencies. So let's say that I normally live in contentment. And that's my set point, because that's where I live. I think about that all the time. That's what my makeup is, that sort of thing. So I'm driving down the highway. All of a sudden, a car cuts me off, and I get angry. So now I'm in the lower, denser frequencies. And so then I go back to the office, and I'm telling all my colleagues, here's what happened. This knucklehead cut me off. Go home, tell my wife that. What am I doing? I'm vibrating angry energy. So I go to the supermarket, and there is somebody in line. I have 3 items, and I'm getting in line, and somebody ahead of me has 38 items. And the guy that's running the cash register, it's his first day, and he's not doing very well. He's very slow. Is that a coincidence? No, it's something for me to get angry about. So I'm attracting into my world whatever it is that I'm vibrating. There's a law in physics that basically says...
Damn, that's kind of true. That's why I try to spread positive vibes, man. If I got 38 items in my cart, I see someone's got 3. Before I check out, bro, you go ahead of me. The first will be last, and the last will be first.
This man right here, if his inventions were taken seriously, the world would be in a completely different place today. Victor Schauberger, born in the 1800s, had a strong fascination with water, forests, and the natural world. Through his years, he postulated that water is self-organizing and actually conscious. He thought that modern-day science was mechanistic and materialistic and didn't take into account energies, frequencies, vibration, like Nikola Tesla, and spirituality. One of his inventions was a water structuring device. And if we use these today, we wouldn't have to use chlorine and other strange chemicals they add to the water to clean it. With his invention, it cleans water by structuring it molecularly. He referred to this as living water. He invented water turbines that generated electricity from water without pressure or heat. He also used copper coils to harness water's electrical potential. As it implodes, there's a little electrical current that's what he used to harness it. Kind of sounds like free energy. He made implosion motors, engines that ran on water or air power without combustion or explosion. And he also made literal flying saucers, at least according to his studies, science, research, and the things that came out from it. He used electrical coils to ionize air molecules and create a plasma field around the hull of this basically UFO. Unfortunately, he was offered a deal to go to Texas to get a bunch of money to help improve his work and develop his work into being used around the world. And unfortunately, he signed a deceptive contract which signed away his life work to an element of the U.S. military, and he perished shortly after.
Surprise. If you got some type of serious invention like that, keep it to yourself and give it to the people that need it. Probably why they had the bells back in the day too, to eliminate all those parasites, because they couldn't stand the vibration. Shout out to that Black Goo episode, man. If you guys haven't seen that episode with the aliens being real, for entertainment purposes, go watch that video. We went through there on there.
They caught fallen angels on live TV. Okay, I know Florida's in major danger and they're doing the biggest evacuation in like 10 years, but I have to show you this. This is going to blow your mind, and we're going to go down rabbit holes you did not even know existed. So this kid and his dad were watching TV, and they're watching right after a missile was shot, I believe, around one of the Middle Eastern places we can't speak of. And he said he saw a demon or an angel flying right at the same time, or like right after it happened. I'm going to show you that, then I'm going to slow it down, then we're going to go from there.
Okay, me and my dad were just sitting here watching Fox News, and I think we just accidentally seen Fox News just showed either angels or demons coming in after a missile.
Specifically fallen angels, but continue. And this was it. But we're going to slow it way the heck down. Now we're going to watch it slow down and enhance. So you can see it's flapping its wings going that way. Let me get out of the way. And down at the bottom right, you're going to see it again very clearly, flapping its wings like a man. Man angel. Now, what if I told you that this has been caught before, but many times, and even further, a magazine cover predicted it? This, my friend, is a video of Mothman from like Fox or some kind of news. Quite literally a man with wings. You can watch the full video. Very known piece of film. How do I know he's a fallen angel? He has a day of worship once a year, Mothman Day. And he shows up at the signs of natural disasters. Let's get to that magazine I was talking to you guys about. Here is The Economist magazine from 2012, Mayan Doomsday. There's so many things we could say about this, but that's not why we're here. By the way, Return of the Wolf, Satan. Anyways, he said the demon or the angel, which is the fallen angel, was seen with a missile. You see it yet? That's right, here they are. Pause this and look at the names on the head. Yo, I'll be darned. This right here is insane. So let me know what you think down in the comments.
How he was flapping his arms.
There are a few things that make me stop and take a breath. And that book is one of them. Somebody threw a Hail Mary almost 1,000 years in the future. It's an illuminated manuscript, which means there's gold foil throughout the book to illuminate certain pictures. Very different from almost any other Bible written in the time. But the weirdest thing in the whole book is that picture, not his face. It presents God as an architect, which was kind of a weird stance at the time. 700-ish years later, William Blake brought this back with those two paintings up there. What's weird is the ball. So if you imagine that you're looking out to the edge of the universe from above Earth, that is what it would look like. This is called a logarithmic picture of the universe. Image is set up by perception. Music people, this is how equalizers work. So that image...
You cannot tell me in a bee scientifically cannot fly with its body weight and the size of its wings. Cannot. It shouldn't be able to. Right? But there's actually real things that are going on. They don't really just use their wings to flap air to fly. What they're doing is they're using vibration to make themselves fly. They're using frequency to make themselves fly. You know, when they put sand on a table and they play a certain hertz, a certain frequency of sound, what happens to the sand? It creates like hexagons. It creates like certain patterns. What is a honeycomb?
Oh, it's the same thing?
It's the same thing. It's hexagons, 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 hexagons. How do they make that shape? It's because of the vibration they're moving at. Now, why is honey literally probably the only food naturally that doesn't go bad? Like fungus can't grow on it. It's so pure, has all of these nutrients. It's very good for humans, very good for everyone. But it doesn't go bad and it stays so pure.
Shout out to Yahukanan. That's all he ate was honey and locusts.
What makes it that way? It's been blessed by the frequency of the bees. And it's put into that, people call it like sacred geometry. That's what they call it. Oh, it's sacred geometry. The hexagon, because the honeycomb is literally hexagon. When what they do, they throw the pollen into the thing, and then they use their vibration to create it.
Damn, I didn't know that.
A bee, scientific.
That vibration, the bees. It's good though. I believe that because I think even on the bee movie that they said they're not even supposed to fly. If you guys watch the kids' bee movie, they said technically we're not supposed to fly or something along those lines. But it makes sense that they're able to fly with vibration. That's a gem though. There's something with this vibration that they ain't telling us.
You were meant to find this video. Are you not curious about why we are told that all ancient marvels like these were built with basic tools like chisels and hammers? Today, we dive into where this incredible knowledge came from. It all stems from the land of Mu, a massive continent conveniently left out of mainstream history books. This is where it gets much deeper. There is an article by the Courier Journal that came out in 1925, nearly 100 years ago, and it detailed Colonel Church's records. It mentions that some people were brought to India by flying machines from this land called Mu. These records also claim that Mu is the motherland of mankind and the home to the Garden of Eden. This is where it relates to all these buildings. In Mu, they had cities with palaces made from marble. They mastered the quarrying and transporting of gigantic stone blocks. Sounds like ancient Egypt to me. But they also carved those blocks into weird resemblances of human faces. What does this sound like to you? The records go on to suggest that the people of Mu navigated and sail to distant lands with this rich cargo. But here is where it gets even crazier. This shows that the technology of flight existed long before the Wright brothers. Their story of creating the first plane in the 1800s is a massive lie. The information was stored for centuries and slowly released to us. Secondly, the records mention that Mu, you were meant to find this video. Are you not curious?
Are you kidding me? From lands beyond? That means they could have a whole palace in the sky. Because if we go back to the bee theory, technically they shouldn't be able to fly. But if you have the right vibration, imagine a building. I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but imagine an entire building having the right vibrational frequency. Like in all those ancient buildings you see, temples you see in India. Yeah, they got gears that spin. Imagine all that in sync, giving the right vibration. Those buildings possibly could have been possible of levitation. They could put pieces of paper right under certain spots of that building and they don't even touch. You know what I'm saying? So that's the video we gotta dive in deep on that, man. So I'm gonna write that down. So the video we're gonna do an entire deep dive. Called Flying Buildings from Distant Lands. We're going to go back into that ice wall beyond the ice wall. I know y'all want me to go back, but I need to get that book first. And I need to get some pieces lined up before we dive back into that. But it's coming, y'all. I promise. I genuinely figure out more about that than Lands Beyond. Look at that. That building they just showed you, I would not be surprised if I saw one flying. I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if I walked outside right now, looked up, and I saw a palace or some type of building vibrate and flying in the sky. I would not be surprised.
Truth of why in the middle of the Vatican you find a statue of a pine cone instead of a statue of Jesus. In fact, pine cone symbolism is littered all throughout the Christian religion. As you can see on the Pope's staff, here's the pine cone. Here's another example of the pine cone on the Pope's staff. And you can also find pine cone symbolism in many churches across the world. Oddly enough, pine cone symbolism can be found all over our ancient past. This is the staff of Osiris, an ancient Egyptian god. And you can see the pine cone being held by ancient Sumerian gods. Now it's funny because doesn't the Christian religion claim that what the Egyptians practiced was devil worship and evil? So why are they using the same symbolism? Now what people don't know is the pine cone is a representation of our pineal gland or our third eye. The word pineal has the same root as pine cone, and it exhibits a similar spine.
Before it gets too deep, you know, Christianity, we don't be rocking pine cones like that. That out there. Anything is going to be a cross.
Spiral pattern, the flower of life pattern, has the pineal gland. Now, the eye of Horus is a representation of our pineal gland in the middle of our brain, and the pineal gland is responsible for producing DMT, which is the link between the inner and the outer worlds. It is the God gland, and the truth is always hidden in plain sight. You just need the eye to see. Peace and love. The shocking truth of
I gotta be careful with that pineal gland spirituality, spirit gods type energy. I get it, man, but that's my stance is, man, that ain't doing no salvation to nobody. That ain't saving no souls. But just trying to elevate people to do what? What are you trying to do? Have a astral project when you go to sleep and come right back? You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. You know, drop in the comments below. I'm genuinely interested if you feel like this is some type of I can't even tell you. It just doesn't calculate in my brain. There's so much pictures. There's so much. This handiwork cannot be denied of me. You know, so I eat the meat and spit out the bones. You see something good, you eat the meat. You start talking that spirituality. It's interesting, but you gotta eat the meat.
It looks like a goblin is attached to it. Check out her dog's reaction. How it's centered and focused on the tree and its half is raised. That's truly telling. And as she passes the tree, it's even more terrifying. It almost looks like a demon face. You can look at this and tell me.
That dog is like, hey, I'm not trusting this. I'm ready to bite him off. Yeah.
Tell me you see that. You see that in the tree? What? Uh-huh. He sees it. Oh, God. We're going. What else is in the room? What? No. Look it. Oh, what? It looks like a goblin is attached to it. Check out her dog's reaction.
It kind of changed when they moved different directions, but from that view, it definitely gave me that lamb tartary vibes, the lamb of tartary. Oh my goodness, that changed me forever.
You know, that lamb of tartar. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Watch my lamb video. I think it's under the live. Gotta go back to that. There's so much stuff I want to go back to, guys. I got a list of stuff. Honestly, and we gotta do the telescope live. I gotta put my my list together of what I'm buying. Get the cell phone holder and get the power of the telescope. And I would do that daily. For an hour. Just gotta watch clear, like if it's a clear night. So we expect more just I always have to just happen for stars. I go out, I never miss a full moon. I go out there for 24 hours and make it high. That's just, I love that stuff.
Could you use the $800? Find it at BioBite. Up to $800 is waiting for you. Just donate plasma, get paid for each donation the same day, then treat yourself and treat your friends. Schedule your appointment today.
Podcast with a very simple mission: to help people on their mental wellness journey. Whether you're feeling stuck in life, or maybe worse, you're navigating depression, my guests and I each week are here to help.
No matter how down and out you are, no matter how poor you are, you have tremendous power.
And this week, I think we are going to deliver on that promise more than ever. Today, I am joined by my very good friend, Tyler Ramsey. Tyler is the host of the podcast Punk Rock Sober, but today he is here to talk through the most important takeaways from the last 6 episodes of No Magic Pill.
Jim Quick. So he had a point. Find little things that you can do with a 0% chance that you'll fail and build those up.
This is not a recap show or a highlight reel, but instead a deep conversation about what is actually working for both of us and what are the insights shared from our guests that deserve to be unpacked in greater detail. We spend so much time focused on what's wrong in our lives that we don't put enough tension on what's going right. Whether you've watched every episode of No Magic Pill or are just joining us for the first time this week, this conversation will leave you with very practical tips and tools to help you on your mental wellness journey. I want to get right into it. So in the past 6 weeks, we've had Jewel, Gabor Mate, Garrett G, Joshua Bassett, Paul Conti, and Jim Quick. So amazing guests.
Amazing.
What piece of advice from one of them, really stood out? Something that really you were able to put into practice right away?
I feel like we've stepped into the movie I, Robot. I mean, honestly, Will Smith has warned us about this, and this is now a reality. Elon Musk has unveiled his newest creations. One is the Robo-Van that holds up to 20 people, and Optimus, the robot, that they both literally look like they were just taken from the movie and plugged into the real world. I don't know about this, y'all. Take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Something that anyone could own. So you can have your own personal R2D.
The new Cybercab. Cybercab looks amazing. I know. I'm trying to get around it. Dude, me too.
I mean, that's just
Elon. The techno king. Optimus can talk?
Yeah. Can you do the sign language?
Give a peace sign, Optimus. Can you do the peace sign? There he is.
I got another one.
There you go. Yeah, hell yeah. Can you give a head?
I feel like we've stepped into the movie I.
Robo-Van? I ain't gonna lie, that looks sweet. You know, it's about time we start looking like we in the future with some Jesse type stuff. But again, you know, the lithium mining and all that is brought new light to how I really feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Is it really worth destroying our environment to get the lithium ion? I don't know.
What happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than the Model Y? Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. This can carry up to 20 people and can also transport goods. The ribbon is what's going to solve for high density. What happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. This can carry up to 20 people and can also transport goods. The ribbon is what's going to solve for high density. What happens if you need a vehicle? What happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than the Temple Man! Optimus! It's insane, it's even talking.
Hey, he threw up the horns earlier.
Okay,